Hello everyone, my name is Josh Parisi, and today I'm talking to you about the real cost of fossil fuels and why we need to switch to renewables. So ever since civilization was born, we've been using energy in some sort or another. We've been using energy for farming in the form of animals and water mills and windmills. We've been using wind energy to power our boats. And ever since the 1800s, we've been using fossil fuels in the form of coal and oil to power our world. These fossil fuels are dangerous and have been affecting the environment negatively ever since we've implemented them large scale. So currently, current technology that produces energy and electricity focuses on fossil fuels. These systems include coal-burning power plants, natural gas-burning power plants, oil-based fuels such as gasoline and diesel fuel, which power our vehicles and can generate electricity. Because they come from fossilized remains of plants and animals, they're very energy dense and they're carbon rich. So when they're burned, they release a lot of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So this carbon dioxide has accumulated over the years. So some of the alternatives we have to fossil fuels are what's known as a renewable energy, which is an energy source that naturally replenishes itself. This includes energy from the sun, energy from water in the form of hydroelectric, energy from wind, captured with wind turbines. Another option is nuclear energy, which harnesses the power of atomic energy to create electricity. So, talking about solar power specifically, there's two major types of solar. One is the photovoltaic cell, which is the more well-known version, where sunlight strikes a solar cell, and the energy within sunlight induces a direct current, which can then be used for electricity. The other type is called solar thermal, where sunlight is bounced off of a concave mirror to heat up some sort of material within it, as seen in this diagram. Wind energy comes from, well, the wind, and it's used to turn massive turbines. And these turbines, while individually they don't produce a whole lot, when grouped together in large farms or across vast distances, they can produce a great amount of electricity. Hydroelectric is another example where water from a river or a lake is run past a turbine, which can be used to generate electricity. And nuclear power, essentially the reactor allows nuclear material to fission and create electricity via heating up water, and that water then turns the turbine, similar to the hydroelectric example beforehand. Now, all these go to show is there are many different alternatives to fossil fuels. And as we can see in this graph, since 1880, global temperature has risen about 1.5 degrees Celsius in average, and at the same time, carbon dioxide concentration has increased by over 40%, from about 290 parts per million concentration in the atmosphere to about 410, as shown by this graph here. Now, how we attribute this to burning fossil fuels specifically is through what's known as climate forcing. Essentially what climate forcing is how different materials either positively force or warm or negatively force or cool down a planet. Now, as we can see by this kind of overview graph, carbon dioxide, along with methane and the other greenhouse gases, are the greatest positive forcers. They are the ones that are causing this steep increase in global temperature. And you can see on the graphs to the right, the major forcings, carbon dioxide, as you can see, in only a short time period, the parts per million has jumped dramatically. While looking at this graph here, that's a 10,000 year graph. It remained relatively stable until just recently. So all of these factors combine to make fossil fuels one of the major causes for both carbon dioxide buildup in the atmosphere and for the global warming effect in general. Now, what we can do, some things we can do, is to combat fossil fuels, we need to provide an alternative. Now, the way we provide an alternative is to empower kind of the renewable industry and help them out. So, over the past few years, fossil fuel companies have been receiving about $20 billion per year from the US government in subsidies and tax breaks. And if that money was instead redirected towards renewables, two things would happen. Number one, the money will be used by the renewable industry to build up the industry and allow the cost of renewable energy to decrease significantly. And number two, fossil fuels will have to charge the true cost of their fuels to their customers and can't rely on the government giving them kind of an easier or a cheaper source of energy through tax breaks. So what this will do is this will push the playing field towards renewables and give them a fighting chance in order to build up their industry and start producing large scale in order to, so that we can get off of fossil fuels in general. And by doing this, we can slow down the rapid climate change that we've been seeing on this earth the past 120 years, and instead turn it on its head and hopefully start bringing it back down into more stable levels. So this was my brief presentation on fossil fuels and why we need to replace them. So thank you all for watching.